Hey friends, welcome back to Making Moves with Bea and Daniel. I'm Daniel, and in this interview series, we'll talk to current students and alumni from different colleges and universities in Canada to answer your top questions about programs or schools that you're interested in. Today's guest joining us, we have Reg Villanueva. Reg, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for having me in your show.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for doing this. I know it's a Saturday. It's like 1:30 p.m. I know you could be,
Yeah,
just resting, but thanks for spending time with us today. I
of
appreciate
course,
it.
anytime.
Of course. All right, Reg, we get right into it. That's what our
Yeah.
audience likes. So, Reg, we'll start with a super simple question. So, what school did you go to and what was your program?
Yeah, so I went to Seneca College. So I did two programs to do like 2 years total of study. So my first program was brand management. It was in the York campus, and then the second one is business analytics. So I did that in their SIA campus in Markham. So
Interesting. And I'm assuming that's like 2 semesters each, 1 year each. Is that how it goes?
yeah, so it's 8 month each, but I got it as a bundle. So Seneca offers like a bundled program. So you automatically get approved for those two courses, without having to apply for another one if you want to do 2 years. Yeah.
Interesting. And it's actually some of our listeners here, it's gonna be the first time they've heard of that. Why did you take up two programs, if you don't mind me
Yeah,
asking?
so yeah. So actually the reason why I did that because it's for my postgrad work permit. So I wanna get 3 years approval
Mm.
because if you do 1 year of studying, the maximum you can get is just 1 year postgrad. So I did 2 years so I can get 3 years maximum postgraduate work permit. Yeah.
Ah,
Just for
very cool.
safety reasons. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's a really, really good strategy. That's good.
Yeah.
And then this is something, Reg, that do you have to decide this before you leave the Philippines, like these two courses, or can you like, okay, I'll decide with one course first, I do 8 months, and then after that, I'll go to the next. How does it work in terms of like admissions?
Yeah. Actually, you can do both. So in my case, I when I was still in the Philippines, I just decided to do the bundled course. So when I came to Canada, it was like just doing it all together. I didn't have to like, choose another course right after. But I heard some students who usually they just go for one course, and then once they're in Canada, if they want to like, study again, to get the 3 year postgrad work permit, they usually like just get another course, and it can also be in a different school, so that's the beauty of it naman. Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. But you took
Yeah,
you took both in
yeah,
Seneca.
I just took the bundle. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And are these like post-secondary programs, masters? What do you call them? Because if it's just 8 months, what is that categorized as?
Yeah, so I took a post-secondary certificate program, so it's not actually like a degree course or a bachelor's degree, so it's more like a certificate. Yeah.
Got it. And what's the main reason that you
Yeah.
chose this program? You got into brand management and then business analyst side. Well, what are the reasons for this?
Yeah, so actually it was very strategic for me because when I was in the Philippines, my background was really in the digital space. So I was doing branding, social media, all that stuff. So when I came here, I kind of use that experience I had in the Philippines to be able to get the brand management course, and then eventually jump into business analytics. So it's more, I would say, the business analytics kasi it's more specialized.
Mhm.
The brand management one was more of like an umbrella course. So it also helped me get or land the job that I have in Canada now. So yeah. Yeah.
Nice. I love that you put the strategy into it because you would be shocked, Reg, that there are a lot of like international students or aspiring immigrants who go here and they're just like, I
Yeah.
want to take up fashion. I want to do
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you strategized. That's great. And can you talk to me about the admissions process? Like, and
Hmm.
give some like some timelines as well. Doesn't have to be
Right.
accurate. Like from the moment you decided that okay, I'm going to Canada, and then admissions, and then to your visa approval to your flight. Like how long
Right.
was that? How was the process like?
Yeah. So actually in total probably since the idea just like came to me, it was in total like 2 years, I would say. So I spent a whole year just preparing. So I was like researching different schools, also like preparing documents. And then, so basically that's 1 year of just research and preparing. And then the second year, that was, I would say, the actual process of going through it, even considering or adding into that the time where I got my approval for to come to Canada. So after doing all my research, I eventually decided to go to Seneca. So the main reason for me was actually the tuition. So I was comparing different schools at the time, and Seneca offered like the cheapest one. So I only paid like 15,000 Canadian for a year. So I wanted to save, a little bit of the money. And then I actually decided to get help from an agency. So they're an educational consulting agency who helped me, just sort out my application, both with the school and also with my visa. So they did both of that for me. And yeah, eventually, I think like the easy part about it is that the agency organized a bulk of it. So basically my part in the whole process was just, getting my papers, like my NBI, going to all the different government agencies, getting all that, the medical. And then I think I waited around 4 to 5 months before I got the call. Oh, not sorry, the email from IRCC that I got approved, and then they were gonna get my passport for the
Mm,
visa. So yeah, it was like, I guess, 2 years in
that's
total.
that's awesome. And why was there like a decision for you to actually go to Canada? I know you spent like one
Yeah.
year researching it. And I know a little bit about your background. You've got an MBA from probably one of the top schools in the Philippines. You've got a great job back there. What was the main reason that you decided, I'm going
Yeah.
to go to Canada?
Yeah, actually, my main reason is really a change in my life, I would say. I mean, it's really like deep and stuff, but it's really like, the dream of having a better life, not just for me, but for my family as well. I'm actually planning to also get my parents here. Canada has it has free healthcare, and um it's also very diverse,
Mm.
in terms of meeting different types of people, trying out new things. So I guess I wanted that for myself. So that was my trigger point, why I decided to, leave my job in the Philippines and all that stuff. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And okay, you mentioned earlier that the tuition fee was like 15K for a
Yeah.
year. And from the guests that I've heard here and from my personal experience, the usual tuition fee is like between 17 to 18K per year.
Yeah.
Aside from that, Reg, were there other expenses associated with studying at Seneca?
Um, I would say, like, aside from the tuition, Um, probably the usual ones, like for example, your transportation when you're going to school. But usually a lot of the stuff that were required of us, like for example, if you needed books, they're always like you can buy it, of course, but there were ways where, like me personally, I didn't wanna spend on those. So I joined like Facebook groups who had like, those old books that they had. So I just borrowed them. And also the library here, I use that as a main resource. So they have a lot of like, the usual books, even the public library. So those are like really good resources to like tap into and just use. Yeah.
Mm. But did you actually have to purchase some textbooks, and like how much were they? Like what were the range?
Yeah, so when I actually received the receipt for the tuition, we were actually required to like buy a few textbooks, for especially for my first course, brand management. They were around, so in total they were around 1,000 to 2,000 Canadian dollars. So it was a bit much, yeah. So it was optional though. So you can, again, if you really want to buy the books, you can, but yeah, other students would opt to just like borrow it or look at the library. Yeah.
Gotcha. So with that, let's say 15K tuition fee per year,
Yeah.
that doesn't include the $1,000 textbook yet.
No, no, it
No.
doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I ask because textbooks are super expensive. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it is.
I like what you did. If I had the option to just buy all my textbooks used, I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gotta be smart.
Yeah, right. Because I know some textbooks, like you have to buy them for you to access the homeworks. I know there's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. They do that.
exactly. Yeah, I know that those are not fun. But yeah, I I had this experience where my marketing professor asked me to buy this like 150 to $300 book. We opened it once and then
That's
never again. No,
yeah.
I'm never
And you know
buying a
what's
textbook.
funny? Sometimes the author of the books are the professors.
Exactly.
So it's really like, I know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that's a
Yeah.
whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Um, and Reg, how many like courses did you typically take in a semester? And give us like, I know you took up two programs, but give us
Yeah.
like, what does your schedule usually look like?
Yeah. So for my first course, it was more hectic. So I was doing around 5 to 6 subjects per semester. And my schedule was really from morning until around 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays.
Oh,
So when I came here, it was a blessing in disguise because it was still COVID. So I was doing my classes online.
mm,
I didn't have to go to campus. So for me, that was a blessing in disguise because my classes started at 8 a.m., which was like really early. And then my second course, it was more, I would say, chill compared to the first one. I was doing just 4 to 5 subjects, and then they were just thrice a week, like MWF. Yeah.
okay. And when you were doing the like that full week, Monday to Friday, how many courses did you have per day? Was that one course per day? How'd that look like?
So per day it would be around 2 to 3 courses because the classes would usually last 3 hours per
Mm,
class. So it
right.
depends. So sometimes if the class is twice a week, it's 1.5. And if it's once a week, it's 3 hours long. Yeah.
Got it. And then in these 3 hour long classes, do you have breaks in between? How's that
Yeah,
work?
sometimes the professors also like wanna, have breaks. So yeah, they usually have breaks in between. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And can you provide a short review of the coursework, such as, like assignments, exams, quizzes? Like, were they difficult? Like, anything you can share us regarding the work related to the courses?
Yeah. I would say so the two courses I took, they're very different in terms of like workload. The first one was more hectic, I would say. It's more I would say kind of post-grad level type of work. For example, if you're doing masters, it's like that kind of level where mostly because of the deadlines, I would say. Because my courses were 8 months long, all of the lessons were really crammed in. So every week we had deadlines for almost all of the subjects. So
Mm,
it was like, more hectic in that sense. And I had my classes every day of the week, literally the whole day. And my second course, however, since it was more business analytics, so it was more on the tech side because brand management is a lot of writing, PowerPoint, all that. So the business analytics one was more very tech. So we did a lot of work in like coding, or it was less papers, so it was, in a sense, it was more easy in terms of like the outputs. But yeah, you would expect the deadlines to be almost every week if it's like an 8 month long type of program, just
mm.
because it's like really short that they have to cover all the topics within those 8 months. So yeah.
Got it. How would you compare this to studying in the Philippines? I know you went to like the top two universities in the Philippines. How would you compare your studying experience in the Philippines compared to like what you experienced at
Yeah.
Seneca College? Was it
In a
easier,
sense,
harder?
yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. I guess in a sense, I mean, they're very different, but I would say like I wouldn't say it's easier in Canada. You know, there's still some challenge to it. But I would say, for example, if you've studied in the Philippines and you have an experience of what education in the Philippines is like, which is we all know it's, very rigorous as well. Like it helps. It helps that you have that when you're studying in Canada. Yeah, a lot of Filipinos studying in Canada, I would say, are like really really part of like the top students, like even in my school. So I think that helps. Yeah.
Mm, good. And did you have any official breaks in between semester or terms? Like, how was it for you?
Yeah, yeah. So we had a spring break, and then the longest so we also had a winter break, but the longest one is during the summer. So yeah.
Okay.
It's
How long were those breaks? Like, how long was spring? How long was summer? How long was?
Yeah. The spring one was very short. It was they I don't actually call it a break. It's more of like a study week type of thing.
Mm,
So we're given just close to 2 weeks, but not really 2 weeks of breaks. But again, like professors would usually give assignments on those times. So you're also, doing something. And then so summer break is the longest. So it's usually once classes end on around May, the next resume of classes is already for fall for my program.
mm,
So yeah, unless you take like a summer course where you have to study in the summer.
right.
But for me, since I took a fall course, so I had like a very long summer break before my next program resumed. And then for winter break, it was around 3 weeks to a month.
Huh.
So yeah, it was fine too. Yeah,
Okay.
much
What were you
needed.
doing in these breaks? That's a lot of breaks.
Yeah, I was working. So
Okay.
I did 2 jobs actually. When during breaks, because I'm not sure if because I know IRCC released something new where international students can now work more than 20 hours, right?
Yeah.
But during my time that wasn't allowed yet. So we were only supposed to work 20 hours a week, except for breaks. So during breaks we really take advantage of those and we work like more than 40 hours a week. So I took 2 jobs and everything. So yeah, I just work during breaks. Yeah.
What were those jobs? Is that the current one you're doing? Or those two jobs are different?
Oh, so it was actually different. I actually started, so when I came to Canada, I did retail work. So I was working at a mall. I worked at, so I worked at Swarovski for like,
Ah.
yeah, but it's very far from me, so I didn't really like work there for a long time. And then simultaneously, I was also working at, it was a skate shop called Zoomies. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
know
I know
Zoomies, right?
Sumis, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I worked there. And then on the side, like on weekends, I would also even do Uber Eats. Like I would deliver Uber. Yeah. But
Wow.
it was really nice. Yeah. It actually surprisingly, like you earn a lot from Uber because of the tips and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was doing all those
That's
simultaneously
like three
before I got
jobs.
the job. Yeah. Basically like 2 to 3 jobs. So yeah.
Okay, I want to get back into the school part, but this is so interesting. So you
Yeah.
during this breaks, you were working three jobs. I know, like, in the Philippines, it's usually like, I just want to make sure, did you work just one job in the Philippines, or were you always someone who's had like more than one job?
So in the Philippines, because I had a business back home,
Mm,
it was like a branding studio.
yeah.
So I mainly did that, and then technically it was like having multiple jobs because I worked with different clients.
Ah,
So yeah, it was like that
got it.
kind of vibe. Yeah,
So how was the adjustment that now you went to Canada and suddenly you're like, okay, I need two jobs now.
yeah.
I gotta do Uber Eats in the weekend. Was that by choice? You just wanted to do it? Was that more like a necessity because you've got so much
Mhm.
bills to pay? What was
Yeah.
the idea behind that?
I guess it was both. Because like of course coming to Canada, you earn in dollars, but your expenses are also in dollars. So, you have bills to pay and there's rent. So, back home we lived with our parents. We didn't have to pay for rent. Here, I had to pay for my rent. So yeah, it was a necessity. That's why I had to like do that. And aside from that, since I was doing two courses, for my second course, I actually had to save up to pay for my second course. So I didn't carry the money with me to pay for my second course when I came to Canada. So I really had to like work those three jobs for that. Yeah.
Amazing. I just want to check in here. How how were when you were juggling all those things, how were you doing from a stress level wise or like a mental health wise? How was that experience?
Yeah. I mean, the first year was really like the hardest, I would say, aside from, the adjustment. And also when I came here, it was still like COVID, height of COVID. So, it was difficult and, battling homesickness and everything. But I guess something that really helped was having a community here. So I got in touch with a lot of Filipinos as well, friends, which like I guess helped in terms of, the mental health side of it. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And let's go back to the school part. When you were in Seneca, were there any scholarships or financial aid options available for international students?
Yeah, there's a lot. So every semester, so we have like the student portal and then everything's there. So even the financial aid options. So I actually usually apply for those every semester. And then so there's a lot that you can choose from. You just have to read up the qualifications if you're fit in those. And once you fit the qualifications, you can apply, and they usually range from I would usually get like a reduction of $2,000 to 3,000 depending on the financial aid, and sometimes they give you multiple ones, so when those add up, it also helps. Yeah.
How did you apply for those? Like, what was the process form?
Yeah. So it depends on the aid or the award. So they're usually essay types though. So they have like specific questions related to for example, if the award is something related to volunteerism or something related to the environment, the question would usually be something about your personal experience when it comes to volunteerism, for example, or something for the environment. So yeah, it's mostly about personal stuff, so it's
Mm,
not that hard, but yeah, it's good to
great. Great,
see
great, great.
that.
And what did you most like about the two programs that you took?
What I really like is really I would say for both the practical side of it. Like I notice a lot of the things that I learned in school, I'm actually using in my job now, which was very helpful for me in terms of, fitting in the Canadian workforce. It's also very difficult, coming from the Philippines, it's very different. So yeah, I would say the outputs we did in school, those were really like handy. I really like used a lot of them in my work now, so yeah.
And what did you not like most about these programs?
I would say really the schedule, like it was like the schedules were like too long for me, unnecessarily long for me. And I feel like a lot of international students would also rather spend most of their time working and earning money. So yeah, if honestly, if like I could cut down my hours, I would have spent more time like earning for paying bills and everything, which would be yeah, better for me during that time. Yeah.
Mm. And Red, before we pivot into the job part,
Yeah.
do you have any tips for, any tips for international students who want to go to Seneca, who are considering taking the programs that you took?
Yeah, actually, I guess my biggest tip is really to ask questions, ask a lot of questions, and like do a lot of research. Seneca, I know, has a lot of avenues where you can directly like speak with people from Seneca, not just like
Mm.
a bot or something. And these are like really these are all free resources that you should like take advantage of. And it would allow you to have a bigger idea of like what you're getting into, what you really like or what aligns with you, because they can also help you like align your experiences in the Philippines, coming to Canada, because I know it's important for PR that it's like kind of aligned as well. So yeah, that's my biggest tip.
Very cool. Reg, we're gonna pivot into talking about career now. So, Reg, you're currently working, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. What's your current job?
Yeah, so I'm a business analyst for it's an animation studio in downtown Toronto called Wildbrain. So they're producers of cartoons like Strawberry Shortcake, Teletubbies, yeah, all our childhood favorites. Yeah. So yeah, I work there full time now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Teletubbies. Who's your favorite
Yeah, I know.
Teletubby?
Oh, that's pretty hard, but I would say Po just because I like
I
the
I'm
color.
gonna say Poe as well.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but that's so interesting. How did you get that job? Because like that,
Mhm.
aside from being so interesting, being a business analyst, coming from like, as coming from an international student when you graduated, that's kind of difficult to do. How did you
Mhm.
get that job?
Yeah, I actually got it from school. So sometimes programs have co-ops. So they're like internships during the summer. So I decided to take a co-op for my first course, which was brand management at that time. And this company, Wildbrain, they offered like a co-op position or an internship position. So I just took it. And yeah, eventually they absorbed me to work full time right after my contract. Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Reg, what made you stand out even when you applied for that co-op process? Because I'm sure it's not just you applied. I'm sure like probably thousands applied for it. What do you think made you stand out?
Yeah, actually something that an important step I did before applying for any job in Canada is really changing up my resume. So I had to do mentorship sessions with my professors or like people who are in the workforce. And they really helped me switch up my Philippine resume into something that fits the Canadian workforce, quote unquote. So that really helped me a lot because I noticed I'm not sure if like it's the same with like people you've talked to in the Philippines, where the resumes in the Philippines are usually so long, like 5 to 10 pages long. But here, my resume is now just like 1 page long. I don't know how I made it fit, but yeah, for some reason I did. And yeah, just switching it up. That was very important for me. When I did that, I noticed, having been gotten like a lot more job opportunities when I did that important switch. Yeah.
That's great. And you mentioned something super important there, Reg. You
Yeah.
mentioned you had like a mentor, you were reaching out to professors. You
Yeah.
were doing this while studying. Is
Yeah,
this
I was. I was.
okay? That's great because not everyone does this. What was your process like in terms of asking for help? Because I know that there are a lot of international students who are kind of shy to ask for help. They think
Yeah.
professors and people who work for the school are just there to give them homework.
Yeah.
But as what you did, they have a wealth of knowledge. They can actually help you get a job, whether it's fixing your resume or mentorship. How did you reach out
Yeah.
to these people?
So actually, I guess it's something that I notice in Canada as well. Like the networking culture is very important. So even just start when you're starting out, in your programs or your courses, it's very important to, connect with your professors, your classmates. Not just in a sense of a transaction of giving homework and submitting homework, but going out of your way to really ask them about the industries, what's happening right now, whatever your interest is in. Like if you're interested in, for example, a brand management type of industry, you can ask them questions about that. And I notice a lot of them are very generous in terms of giving resources. They even send you one of my professors even sent me like a free membership to like a marketing organization that I didn't have to pay for. So yeah, it just takes that one step, of like just asking something that you're interested in, and then it will go a long way.
That's so crucial. That's so crucial.
Yeah.
And in like in like 20 seconds, can you tell me what your typical day to day is like as a business analyst?
Okay.
Quick summary.
Yeah. So okay, in one sentence. So I help them buy cartoons, which is like the coolest thing I've done.
What?
Yeah, so they have this division of mergers and acquisitions, and so apparently in a lot of like media industries, they don't own or they don't make the cartoons,
Mm,
right? So they just buy it. So I help them like look for like different avenue streams of cartoons and like help them like purchase it. So that's like the
that's
coolest thing I've
that
done.
is so
Yeah,
cool. That is
I
hella
know.
cool.
I
And,
love
and,
it. Yeah.
and how do you do it? You're like, you know what certain cartoon has certain viewerships, and you're like, this is
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. We study all of that to make sure it fits, the
That's
audience.
such a cool job.
Yeah.
I love that. We'll talk more about that
You-
later. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely.
Um, and Reg, any tips for international students or immigrants who want to get a job just like that, or basically who wants to get a good job in Canada?
Yeah, I would just say again, like just network. In Canada, you don't just like send your resume to someone and expect them to like hire you right away. It's really important for people here that you have a relationship with them. So, just go to events. A lot of events here are free. There's also free food. So, it's a win-win. So you meet people, you eat good food, you don't have to cook dinner. So yeah, just network.
Reg, were you like an extrovert in general? Are you an extrovert? Does it make it easier for you to network, or are you more of like the shy introvert type?
No, I'm actually an introvert, surprisingly. But when I came here and realized that it's important to, meet people, it actually gets easier. Like once you, have your foot out the door, it gets easier. Like I go to a lot of like networking events, even until now that I have a job, I still go to some. I'm actually going to another one next week. Yeah, so it gets easier. So yeah.
It gets easier because you know you kind of have to do it here. Is that
Yeah,
and like for introverts out, and to be honest, I was an introvert as well.
right.
And I just did what Reg did. Any tips for introverts on how to network? Because even I know how it feels like, even sending a message, an email as an
Yeah,
introvert, it's so scary. Do you have
I
any
get that.
advice?
I get that. Actually, when I started, I think this is cliche, but like it works a lot. I usually would prepare a short spiel
Mm.
before I meet people. So kind of like have it in my mind. So whenever I meet people in a networking event, I just literally have that spiel as an opener. And then from there, the conversation just flows. So like, they ask you questions, you ask them questions, and then you'll feel more comfortable as the conversation progresses. So
Very cool. Reg, this was great. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
actually you can so my Instagram is actually the best way. I'm always on there. My Instagram is my last name Villanueva and then Reg.
Whoever, Reg. Perfect.
Yeah.
And Reg, final question before we wrap up here. What is your best success tip for anyone who wants to succeed in Canada?
I would say, oh, this is important for me. Don't forget your roots, like the Philippines, like to be successful in Canada. So yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, so when I came here, like again, I mentioned to you how having this new life, meeting different types of people. But again, like when I always think about it, I always go back to home to keep me grounded when I'm here. I still find that a lot of the people that I really have great connections here in Canada are also Filipinos. And also I'm like much more prouder of my culture now that I'm here. Just talking to other cultures as well and making them try Filipino food and like Filipino music and events. So yeah, I think that's very important. For you to succeed in another country is to stay grounded and like who you are, where you came from. It just makes you feel more whole, even if you're outside of home, like miles away. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps. I love that, Reg.
Thanks,
Reg,
Daniel.
this was absolutely fantastic. So much value that you gave in this episode. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for everyone listening here, I'll actually see you, Reg, later. We're
Yeah, I'll see
having
ya.
early dinner, and that's fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
For sure. And that's a wrap, Reg. Thanks again, everyone. Feel free to follow Reg on her Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes below. And until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.